Welcome, and thank you for making the time to join us this evening. My name is James Gambrell, your Public Participation Specialist with the Department of Toxic Substances Control, or DTSC. This meeting is part of the current public comment period that started on September 6th and will end on October 24th. The comment period is for DTSC's proposed decision to deny the permit renewal application for Pond 7 at the Martinez Refining Company. By participating in this meeting, you agree to be recorded. This meeting will become part of the public record. We can move to slide 2, please. It is my pleasure to introduce you to your DTSC team. I've already introduced myself, James Gambrell, your Public Participation Supervisor. And I'd like to introduce Marcus Simpson, Public Participation Supervisor. Hello, Marcus.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, James.
I'd like to introduce Adon Amador, your project manager for the site. Please say hello.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening.
And also Ryan Batty, unit chief and the hearing officer.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you. All right. If we could move to slide 3, please. Allow me to present tonight's agenda. This meeting has 2 sections that are separated by a break. First, a public meeting presented by the project manager, Adon Amador, you met earlier, followed by a question and answer session. We will then take a short break and start the public hearing section where you can provide formal comments on the DTSC's proposed decision. DTSC will provide written responses to all public hearing comments at a later date. Once everyone has had an opportunity to provide comments, the meeting will be concluded. If we can move to slide 4, please. During tonight's meeting, questions can be asked in one of 2 ways: verbally by raising your hand, or 2, by typing in your question via the Q&A option. Those joining on your computer, you'll see the raised hand and Q&A icons in the toolbar at the bottom of the screen. You may need to hover your mouse at the bottom of the screen for the controls to appear. Using your keyboard, you can also use Alt-Y to raise your hand as a keyboard shortcut. If you're using the Zoom app on your smartphone, the icons will be in the toolbar as well. You may need to click on the More button if your smaller screen does not show the icons. If you're dialing in by phone, you can press *9, that will raise your hand, and *6 to unmute when called upon. I will repeat these instructions again later in the presentation. May I introduce your project manager, Adon Amador, as we move into slide 5.
Thank you, James. Hello, everyone. My name is Adon Amador, and I am the DTSC project manager for Martinez Refining Company. Slide 6, please. So first, I'd like to begin by introducing the permitting division at DTSC. The permitting division consists of approximately 75 staff based in offices located in Sacramento, Berkeley, and Chatsworth. It is responsible for receiving and processing hazardous waste permit applications for approximately 110 facilities across California. Each permit is issued for up to 10-year terms, and the permitting division is responsible for all modifications and maintenance necessary to keep the permits current and enforceable. Slide 7, please. So this next slide provides an overview of DTSC's permit process. The first phase, shown in orange, is the pre-application phase. When a permit is nearing expiration, a reminder letter is sent out to notify the facility that they must either reapply for a permit or begin closure of the permitted unit. If the facility wants to renew their permit, they must submit both Part A and Part B of the permit application. The second phase, shown in blue, is the administrative review phase. The facility must submit a 2-part application, referred to as the Part A and Part B permit application. Part A of the application briefly describes the facility and activities to be covered by the permit. Part B, on the other hand, is much larger and must describe in detail how the facility will operate to meet regulatory requirements. DTSC performs an initial cursory review of the application to make sure all required sections are present. The third phase, shown in green, is the technical review phase. DTSC uses a technical completeness checklist to ensure the application satisfies all the required regulations specific to the facility and its operations. At any time throughout either the administrative or technical review phases, DTSC may request edits or further information from the facility. The fourth phase, shown in purple, is the draft permit decision phase. Once the application is technically complete, a draft permit decision is made to either grant or deny the permit application. This draft decision is released for public review and comment for a period of at least 45 days. The last phase, shown in red, is the final permit phase. After the public comment period ends, DTSC considers all comments received and prepares a response to comments document. DTSC then releases its final permit decision, which can be appealed to the California Board of Environmental Safety. Slide 8, please. So the subject of tonight's meeting is the proposed decision to deny the permit renewal application for Pond 7 at the Martinez Refining Company. Pond 7 can be seen outlined in red in the zoomed out aerial view showing the location as it relates to Martinez and nearby landmarks, most notably off I-680 south of the Bay Bridge. Pond 7 is a single pond within the refinery wastewater treatment system. Therefore, if DTSC's proposed decision becomes final, it will only result in the closure of Pond 7 and should not impact overall refinery operations. Slide 9, please. Here is a closer aerial view of Pond 7, still outlined in red. The spots that can be seen within the pond are aerators used to move the wastewater, keeping it from becoming stagnant and assisting in the treatment process. The proximity of the marshland to Pond 7 can also be seen with the surrounding green area. Slide 10, please. Pond 7 was constructed in the 1970s and covers an area of approximately 1.4 acres. The pond has a capacity of 3.8 million gallons with a clay liner and bordering walls lined with large rock, or also known as riprap. The pond is currently used to treat non-hazardous refinery wastewater and stormwater containing petroleum constituents. However, prior to 1996, the wastewater entering Pond 7 was a hazardous waste due to the high levels of benzene. Slide 11, please. So as mentioned earlier, Pond 7 has not treated hazardous waste since 1996. Under normal circumstances, when a permitted unit stops receiving hazardous waste, it must close. However, the regulations provide an exception that allows for closure to be delayed if the unit can continue to be used to manage non-hazardous waste. This is referred to as delayed closure status. Most hazardous waste regulations continue to apply, and a permit is required until closure is achieved. Slide 12, please. So the current permit for the Martinez Refining Company was issued in May 2008 and had a May 2018 expiration date. This permit authorized Pond 7 to operate under delayed closure status. The refinery submitted a timely permit renewal application in 2017 prior to permit expiration, and the permit has been continued since that time. Pond 7 is the only active permitted unit at the refinery. DTSC assembled a team of staff to review the application, including engineers, scientists, geologists, and other subject matter experts. And a site visit was performed to inspect Pond 7, and a notice of deficiency was prepared. Slide 13, please. After DTSC's thorough review of the permit renewal application for Pond 7, several areas of concerns were identified relating to the location and setting, design and construction, and current conditions of the pond. These findings taken together form the basis of DTSC's proposed decision to deny the application. The first area of concern is the location and setting of the pond. An examination of the Federal Emergency Management Agency flood map shows Pond 7 is predicted to be affected by the 100-year flood, and damage to the pond walls may occur. Also, the pond is in an area with shallow groundwater, which presents an increased risk that the wastewater in the pond may contaminate groundwater. The second area of concern is the overall design and construction of the pond. The pond was constructed using a compacted clay fill over existing bay mud layered with 1 foot of rock, or also known as riprap, around the interface of the pond walls. The pond does not have a synthetic liner, dedicated leachate collection and recovery system, or leak detection system. Furthermore, a structural analysis of the pond indicates that it is susceptible to large deformations in the event of seismic activity. The refinery has also reported that if Pond 7 is damaged, they are limited in their ability to divert the pond's capacity elsewhere. The last area of concern is the current condition of the pond. The pond has been in continual use for approximately 50 years and is showing signs of age and overall deterioration. DTSC visited the facility in November 2019 to inspect the pond and made several observations, including vegetation growth within the pond, moist and damp soil around the pond, and erosion on the interface of the pond wall. DTSC's concerns regarding Pond 7 are described in greater detail in the fact sheet, which is a part of the administrative record for this proposed decision. Slide 14, please. These next slides will show a closer look at Pond 7. This first picture shows Pond 7 looking northeast. The liquid within the pond is shown on the right-hand side of the photo, and an aerator can be seen operating in the background. In the center, the earthen pond walls are shown, topped with concrete bags, and on the left, damp soil can be seen adjacent to the pond walls. Slide 15, please. This second picture, also taken looking northeast, shows liquid around the base of the pond walls, corroded piping, and a dark staining on the earthen pond walls, on the side of the pond walls. Slide 16, please. This third and final picture, taken looking northwest, shows vegetation growth in the pond, concrete bags on the pond walls, and temporary timber supports for piping and guide wires. Additional photographs showing the condition of Pond 7 are found in the fact sheet, which is a part of the administrative record for this proposed decision. Slide 17, please. DTSC is required to consider the facility compliance history when processing a permit application. DTSC performs regular inspections to ensure each hazardous waste facility is following California laws, regulations, and permit conditions. Between 2016 and 2021, DTSC enforcement staff inspected Martinez Refining Company 5 times and observed 4 Class 1 violations. Some of the violations relate to former units at the refinery that have since been closed. The first 3 violations on the slide have been corrected and resolved. The final violation shown relates to repairs to Pond 7 that were made without following the permit modification process and is in the process of being resolved. The inspection reports describing each of these violations in more detail can be found in the administrative record for this proposed decision and also on EnviroStore. Slide 18, please. In summary, DTSC is proposing to deny the application for continued delay of closure of Pond 7. This decision is based on the combined effect of multiple areas of concern as discussed tonight and explained more fully in the fact sheet. The fact sheet and other documents relating to this decision are part of the administrative record. This decision will result in the closure of Pond 7, but is not expected to impact larger refinery operations. DTSC understands that the refinery has alternative options for treating the wastewater that is currently sent to Pond 7 and is prepared to work with the refinery on scheduling the closure to minimize disruptions to the wastewater treatment system. At this time, I will hand the presentation back over to James. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Don, for that very informative presentation. To view any of the documents relating to DTSC's proposed decision for denial, you can visit, for electronic format, the DTSC EnviroStore database at www.envirostore.dtsc.ca.gov and enter CAD 009-164-021 in the search. Also, you can visit the information repository for a hard copy at the Martinez Public Library at 740 Court Street, and that's in Martinez, California, 94553. And please call for hours at 925-646-9900. You can also visit the DTSC Sacramento Regional Office at 8800 Cal Center Drive in Sacramento, California, 95826. And they're available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Please call for an appointment at 916-255-3758. We can move to the next slide, please. We are now in the question and answer portion for tonight's meeting. As a reminder, during the public hearing section, we will not be able to respond to questions while we receive formal comments. So now is your time to have back and forth dialogue with your DTSC project team. We will do our absolute best to answer your questions. You can use Zoom audio by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. When it's your turn, you will be invited to unmute your audio. If you prefer, you could have your question read by me by simply typing your question out using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. On the next slide, we'll have some visual instructions showing you how to access these features. Next slide, please. Those joining us on your computer, you'll see that raise hand and Q&A icon in the toolbar at the bottom of the screen. You may need to hover your mouse pointer at the bottom of the screen for the controls to appear. Using your keyboard shortcut, you can press Alt-Y to raise your hand. If you're using the Zoom app on your smartphone, the icons will be on the toolbar as well. You may need to click the More button if your small screen does not show the icons. And for those dialing in by phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute when called upon. I will identify you by using the last 3 digits of your contact phone number. Move to slide 22, please. We will now start taking questions at this time. I'm looking in the Q&A and I do not see any open questions. I will double check to see if we have any raised hands. And at this time, I do not see any raised hands. I see a question here. Are there any plans to remove the solid waste, e.g., the clay and rock that make up the pond? If so, what are they?
Yeah, so I'll take that question. So yeah, the removal of all the solid waste and everything that makes up the pond will be covered through the closure of the unit. That closure will further be worked on, and DTSC will continue their oversight of that closure and its plan during this draft phase, and also going into after it is final. DTSC will still continue to provide their oversight in having that closure conducted. But going back to answering your question, that will the removal of all that will be covered through the closure of the unit and the work plan.
Thank you, Don, and thank you for that great question. Another minute, see if we have any more questions or raised hands. Checking the Q&A. I do not see any questions at this time. Looking for raised hands. If we have any more questions. I do have a question from Trevor Rice. What is the alternative method for treating effluent?
I can take that question. Again, my name's Ryan Betty. I'm a supervisor at DTSC. So in terms of the alternative treatment method, so the refinery has indicated that they're currently looking at replacing the pond with an above ground tank. So what they've communicated to us is that they're looking to repurpose a large tank that's currently on site. So instead of this wastewater being treated in a pond, or as we call it, a surface impoundment, it will instead be treated in an above ground tank. So that's the plan as we understand it.
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you for that question, Trevor. Let's see if we have any more open questions. I don't see any open questions at the time. See if I have any hands raised. And I am not showing any hands raised at this time. Another minute to see if there are any other questions before we move on to our 5-minute break and move into our public hearing section. Just rechecking the raised hands, and I do not see any raised hands yet. Okay. So I don't see any more open questions. I think we'll move on to the 5-minute break. If we could move to the next slide, please. At this time, we'll take a 5-minute break before starting the public hearing section of the meeting. This is a great opportunity to stretch, get some water. When we return, the floor will be open for comments. As a reminder, if you would like your questions or comments added to the official public record and responded to in writing, please use the hearing section of the meeting. During the hearing, we will not be able to respond to your questions or comments, but they will be added to the public record and put into the response for comments document. The time is now 6:24. We will return at 6:29. Hey, good evening. Welcome back. Hope everyone had a really nice break. I'd like to welcome everyone back to the public hearing portion of this meeting. I'm now going to turn it over to the public hearing officer, Ryan Batty.
Thank you, James, and good evening, everyone, and thank you for sticking with us. Again, my name is Ryan Batty, and I'm a supervising engineer in the permitting division at DTSC, and I'll be the hearing officer for tonight's public hearing. So the public hearing is your opportunity to provide formal comments on DTSC's proposed decision to deny the permit application for Pond 7 at the Martinez Refining Company. Shortly, I will open the public hearing and invite all interested parties to provide comments. Your comments will be recorded, and DTSC will prepare written responses to your comments that will be released along with DTSC's final permit decision. If you would like us to mail you a response to your comments, please make sure to provide your name and contact information. If you prefer, you can provide your contact information by email at a later date. So initially, I'm going to request that everyone please limit their comments to 3 minutes. We don't have too many folks on the meeting, so if we have additional time after everyone has spoken, I'll invite those that would like to speak a second time to go ahead and do that. I'd also like to reiterate that if you have any additional thoughts after this meeting that you'd like to share with us, those comments can be either emailed or mailed to DTSC anytime prior to the close of the public comment period, which is going to be on October 24th. So, and just one final instruction. So if you prefer to type your comments into the Q&A, we will go ahead and read those into the record for you. All right, so the time is now 6:31 p.m. on October 11th, 2022. I'm going to formally open the public hearing. The next slide provides information on how to join the queue to make a comment, and I will ask James to please go over those instructions one more time. James?
Thank you, Ryan. And once again, we've had these instructions earlier, but just to make sure everyone has clear instructions, those joining on your computer, you'll see the raise hand and Q&A icons in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. You may need to hover over your mouse pointer over the bottom of your screen so that those controls will appear. Using your keyboard shortcut, Alt-Y will also raise your hand. If you're using the Zoom app on your smartphone, the icons will also be on your toolbar. You just may need to click on the More button if your screen is too small to show all of the icons. If you're dialing in by phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute when we call on you, and I'll identify you by using the last 3 digits of your phone number. And you take a look at the Q&A section to see if we have any comments typed in. Also take a look at the hands and see if there's any hand raised or any public comments. I do not see any questions, any comments or questions for that matter in the Q&A section. And at this time, I do not see any hands raised. Give it just another minute or so. Make sure that there aren't any lingering comments, or maybe someone's still putting those comments together. Okay, at this time, I do not see any hands raised. I do not see any Q&A comments. You move to the next slide, please. If you were not able to submit your comment tonight, or if your comments are not submitted tonight, and you'd like us to still provide them, or need more time to put them together, you will see options on the screen. So you can submit those by phone at 916-659-1054. You could also submit those by email to adon.amador@dtsc.ca.gov, or by mail to Adon Amador, DTSC Project Manager, 8800 Cal Center Drive, Sacramento, California. Please note, all comments must be received or postmarked by October 24th, 2022. Next slide, please. For more information, please contact Adon Amador, Project Manager, at 916-659-1054 or adon.amador@dtsc.ca.gov, or myself, James Gambrell, Public Participation Specialist, at 510-529-7199, or james.gambrell@dtsc.ca.gov. You can also go to EnviroStore at envirostore.dtsc.ca.gov, and in the search, type in CAD009164-021, and that will bring you to the EnviroStore page for the site.
Okay, so seeing no further comments, I'm now going to go ahead and close the public hearing, and the time is 6:36 p.m. So again, as James has just mentioned, if you have any thoughts after this meeting and you decide you'd like to make a comment, you still have the opportunity to do that by reaching out to DTSC by the close of the comment period, which is scheduled to end on October 24th. And again, I'd like to thank everyone for their participation tonight, and I'm going to turn it back over to James.
Thank you, Ryan. One last piece of information is if you would like to get a hard copy, you can visit the information repository. And that's on slide 28, please. And that's at the Martinez Public Library, 740 Court Street in Martinez, California, 94553. And you can call them for hours at 925-646-9900, or the DTSC Sacramento Regional Office File Room at 8800 Cal Center Drive, Sacramento, California, 95826. The hours are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5. Please call them for appointment at 916-255-3758. And that brings us to slide 29. That will wrap it up for tonight's meeting. Thank you, everyone, for making the time to join us, and I hope everyone has a great night.